I own 1 million quarter shares for our firm in the company. I have not sold a single share of that, and I don't expect to in my lifetime.
In your lifetime, you don't expect?
In my lifetime.
Okay.
And the same thing with SpaceX. So I think we're going to make 3 or 4 or 5 times our money in the next 10 years in Tesla. And I think
again, from on top of the 20 that you've made.
And in the case of SpaceX, I think over the next 10 years, we're probably going to make 20 or 30 times our money.
In this video, the big daddy of Wall Street, billionaire investor and long-term Tesla bull, Ron Barron, hypes up Tesla, saying that he can see the company's market cap increasing another 3, 4 or 5 times over the next decade. And in my opinion, Ron is massively underestimating Tesla. He also says SpaceX could easily do a 20 to 30x over the next decade, and has some thoughts about Elon's investment in Twitter. So let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support.
I didn't realize you have 12.8% of your assets under management in Tesla at this point.
Yeah, because it went up 20 times in the past 2 or 3 years. If you might remember when I was on initially and I was describing the investment, I said I thought we would make 20 times our money in this investment. And what do you know? We invested $380 million, and between 2014 and 2016, the average price was then about $40 a share, and we've made about $1 billion, about 20 times so far. So we made about $6 billion.
Absolutely insane return, and still plenty to go. How many other people out there do you think on planet Earth could honestly say, yeah, we bought this stock and we've made about $6 billion in profits so far? And let me know in the comments below if anyone else was buying Tesla stock in the same period Ron was, around 2014, 15 and 16, around that $40 per share price. I began buying at the beginning of 2016, and the amazing thing, this was just such an opportunity, a gift for investors. Kind of the reason I started this YouTube channel. After Ron began buying in 2014, you know what happened to Tesla stock? Nothing. Flat. In fact, sometimes down. How about 2015? Down. 16, down. 17, down. 18, down. 19, down. Tesla stock did less than nothing for more than half a decade leading up to 2019. There was literally a window of 5 years where smart investors who had done their homework could buy Tesla stock around $40 per share. In case anyone needs a reminder, today it's well over $1,000 per share. In my opinion, still just getting started. I think the Tesla stock at its lows in 2019 may go down as a single best bargain in the history of the stock market. So
far, we sold about $1 billion worth of stock.
Just because you didn't want it to be an even bigger position in the portfolio?
Yes, well, what it was is that I was getting widely criticized for having such a large percentage of my assets in 2 of our mutual funds, Barron Partners Fund and Barron Focused Growth Fund, in one stock. And people said, how can you be so crazy? And so I wanted them to think I wasn't crazy. I know I'm crazy.
Well, I guess one of the key differences between Ron Barron and myself is although we're both crazy, he doesn't want other people to think that he is. I just own it. Over the decade plus that I've been investing, one of the best indicators that I've been on the right path is people telling me I'm crazy, warning me, too risky, you're dumb, this doesn't make sense, they're going bankrupt, blah, 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 every step of the way. To be honest, if one day people are agreeing with my investment decisions en masse, I may have to rethink my strategy. Thus far, in more than 10 years of investing, the best indicator that I've been onto something has been the amount of pushback that I've received from well-meaning but ill-informed friends, colleagues, and so on.
but they didn't want, want to be responsible to people, and I didn't want people to say, he's lost his mind. And even though I think for Tesla, this is the very beginning of what they're doing. I mean, they just reported numbers a couple of days ago, and they said that they did 310,000 cars in a quarter, in the 3-month period of time. 310,000. General Motors did 24. Not 24,000, 24.
You did it, Mary. You led, and it matters.
For Tesla, meaning what?
Yeah, so they did 310,000 cars in the quarter, and people said, well, they should have done 317,000 cars in the quarter. And but the plant in China was closed for 4 or 5 days, and there's supply chain problems in this period of time. And so everyone's focused on with this quarter for 310,000 cars. In 4 years, 3 years, they're going to be doing $1 million a quarter, not 310,000. A million cars a quarter. And if you go 10 years, they're going to be doing something like 5 million cars a quarter. So here you are doing 310,000 cars, and people saying, a few thousand more, a few thousand less. I'm thinking about in 8 or 10 years, this is 20 million car company.
You expect to still be an investor in 8 to 10 years?
Yes.
Are you selling any more shares?
Periodically, if people say, if it gets crazy big relative to the size of the fund right now, then I would. I own 1.25 million shares for our firm in the company. I have not sold a single share of that, and I don't expect to.
Okay.
In my lifetime.
In your lifetime, you don't expect?
In my lifetime.
Okay.
And the same thing with SpaceX. So I think we're going to make 3 or 4 or 5 times our money in the next 10 years in Tesla.
Now, who am I to disagree with Ron Barron? But I do, strongly. I think that even his upper expectation of around a 5x on Tesla stock over the next 10 years is massively underestimating what the company's going to be worth. Again, I could be wrong, he could be right, but I am arrogant and confident enough to say that I'm the one that's going to be right. I expect bare minimum, worst case 10x or more over the next decade, per my Tesla stock price targets available exclusively on Patreon. Check the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment to join. Let's just split things in the middle and go for Ron's upper estimate of a 5x on Tesla stock over the next decade. He's already seen a 20 times return on his initial investment in Tesla stock. Another 5x from there means a total return on Tesla stock of 100 times. And Ron was late to the party. Tesla stock IPOing in 2010, Ron didn't begin accumulating Tesla stock until 2014, 15, and 16. It's rare to come across a publicly traded company whose stock will come even close to doing 100x in the span of less than 2 decades. If you suck at math, 100x means $10,000 turns into $1 million. I think it's
again, from on top of the 20 that you've made.
And in the case of SpaceX, I think over the next 10 years, we're probably going to make 20 or 30 times our money.
I agree with Ron here. I think that over the long term, SpaceX has enormous potential. Next decade, 20, 30 plus X, won't be surprised at all.
When do you think that company goes public?
I think that it's unlikely that SpaceX is going to go public anytime soon, but this Starlink business that they have, I think that could go public in the next 3 years. And that's the business that is ultimately looking, that's this, I was describing to you about Ukraine. I think that's a business that could ultimately, is addressing a potential, they call it TAM, total addressable market, of $1 trillion, actually multiple trillions, communications. And so it's for the government, it's for commercial, it's for people who don't have internet. If you want to have more equitable distribution of wealth in the world, you have to have people educated. The way you get educated, you have to have the internet. If you don't have the internet, you can't accomplish that.
This is a brilliant and often overlooked point. Something that I thought about maybe 10 years ago. One day I sat down and wrote a list. What would be the ways that you could have the biggest significant impact on the most number of people on planet Earth today? I only came up with a few things. One of them was curing aging, and another was providing low-cost, high-speed internet access to every person on Earth. At the time, less than half of the world's population had internet access. And Ron is absolutely right. Giving people access to information is the most important thing you can do to help lift people out of poverty.
So this is broadband satellite internet, and it's an unbelievable business. And the reason they can do it and other people can't is that they have no cost for launch. So I want to talk about this. And so when everyone else has launch costs of $100 million, $200 million, $300 million per rocket, and they use it one time and then it burns up, our guy sends up his rockets, brings it back down and uses them over and over again. So his cost is a tiny fraction of the cost of a rocket.
AKA, it is literally impossible to sustainably compete with SpaceX Starlink internet broadband service. Literally impossible to sustainably compete with until another company develops their own reusable rockets. The best hope anyone has of attempting to compete with Starlink is to pay SpaceX to launch their competing satellites. Of course, SpaceX making a massive profit margin on each launch for commercial partners that they don't need to charge to themselves internally for launching their own satellites. As I said, it is impossible to sustainably compete with Starlink internet. Impossible. I know that's a strong word. That's exactly why I'm repeating it. And now, Ron's thoughts about Elon Musk's Twitter investment.
Hey, Ron. It's great to see you. I wanted to go back just for a second to Elon Musk, but in connection in something to some degree with Jeff Bezos and Amazon. We've been talking all week about Elon Musk's decision to get on the board of Twitter and the debate that we imagine is going to happen around censorship and free speech. And we've seen what Elon Musk has talked about in that regard. I'm curious, as a shareholder of Tesla and also of SpaceX, how you think the political, or what you think of the political implications of that. And we've compared it to some degree to what happened with Jeff Bezos buying a piece of the Washington Post. He's done remarkable things with the Washington Post, but there has also been, as you know, political and to some degree, you could argue even economic blowback on Amazon. What do you think of that in regard to Tesla? Obviously, the Defense Department taxpayers are a huge customer for SpaceX. You could see political debates emerging around potentially, again, Twitter becomes a bit of a bank shot, but I think there are some investors who've been thinking about this issue.
I think it's meaningless.
Because?
It's a tiny investment, $3 billion for a man who's worth $300 billion. He has Tesla, which is worth $1 trillion, on the way to being worth $3 or $4 trillion. There's no way this can be anything meaningful to him. Period. Meaningless.
I appreciate that perspective. The reason I ask it, though, is you could argue for Jeff Bezos, the Washington Post could be meaningless in that it only cost him $250 million on an actual dollar basis. It's meaningless. But when you think of the mind share it took up, for example, in the last presidency, where you had a president effectively that decided to target his company as a result. And by the way, Elon Musk has even made some comments about the Washington Post and therefore Amazon. He targets them in the same way, and therefore whether that could happen in a similar way to Musk's companies.
Look, one of my friends is one of the best traders alive. And he calls me a month ago and he says, Ron, tell me about where does Elon get his nickel from, for batteries? And how much does he pay for it? And is it spot prices or long-term contracts? And so I give him a little bit of information. I say, but David, you're missing the point. This is the company that's doing 1.2 million or 1.5 million cars this year, and is going to do 20 million cars a year in 10 years. And they're going to have autonomous driving, which Musk thinks is the biggest innovation, value creation that's ever taken place in the world. Be worth over $1 trillion alone, that alone. And they're going to be able to sell, if they sell, 20 million cars at $50,000, that's $1 trillion. They're making 30% profit margins. The industry's making 7 or 8%. The industry has union issues. Well, Biden loves unions, but and I'm fine with people making a lot of money for workers. I'm not fine with the people who are workers saying this is the way I should work and this is the job I should do and this is how I should perform. So I think that when you focus on a issue, it's not relevant to how large a company is going to become. And we want to have electric cars. That's our goal. We want to have alternative energy. Musk, Tesla has solar roofs, and batteries, and insurance, and ride share. And there's one thing after another, and you say, oh my God, and this company's valued for $1 trillion now. Why is it not going to be worth, it's certainly $2 trillion, but why is it not going to be worth $3 trillion or $4 trillion or $5 trillion in 10 or 15 years? So when you're focusing on something that's meaningless and will never have any impact on anything, and it just takes you away from looking at the big picture, just like when you're thinking about interest rates, as opposed to thinking about you have to figure out some way to protect yourself against inflation. So these things we don't care about. It's not relevant to me, and people can pick up something, a short seller or a long guy or a hedge fund is going to pick up something that you can trade on. It's not relevant. I don't care.
That's kind of your message for everything, then, missing the forest through the trees.
Yes.
You got to step back as an investor, just in general, in buying stocks and not listen to the noise around you.
Yes.
Some words of wisdom here to wrap up. Ron Barron, like many intelligent investors, focused on the prize, not the noise. So, hope you guys and girls have enjoyed the video, and don't forget to sign up to Patreon with the card in the corner or the link at the pinned comment. You'll gain instant access to my Tesla stock price targets, which suggest that Ron Barron's estimates for Tesla growth over the next decade are way under, or I'm an idiot and completely deluded and way over. Time will tell. Plus, you'll gain instant access to well over 100 exclusive pieces of content. So, I'll see you over there. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.